So, a quick summary of what we looked at before with the layers of the rock here. We call this relative age dating, and there were three principles that we used, right? We used the principle of horizontality, so that we figured these layers originally got put down in a horizontal fashion, even though later on there was a crack and some were tilted up. We make the assumption that they were originally put down horizontally. That is the principle of horizontality. Then we use the principle of superposition to say that the things at the lower end had to be older. The things put on top had to be younger than the things below them. This is the principle of superposition. So when you look at a canyon wall, the stuff at the bottom is older, those layers at the bottom, the layers at the top are younger. The principle of superposition. Then we looked at the cracks, right? And the tilting here, any kind of change of those horizontal layers. Any of those changes, they cut through the horizontal layers, had to have come after the horizontal layers already existed. That is called the principle of cross-cutting relationships. Anything that cuts into or changes those originally horizontal layers had to have happened afterwards. And so we order these three layers, 1, 2, 3, then the cut happened 4, and then because the cut didn't happen in these upper layers, they get labeled 5 and 6. Okay? Now there are some other principles, some that we'll get into more, some that we won't get into as much, and there's some that we won't even talk about. And geologists also look at different layers and what they're made of and can tell things about them, like sandstone must have come from a desert. Limestone must have come from a body of water where shells and bones were dropped to the bottom. And so there's a lot of more complex ways we can analyze this. One thing that we will talk about, and I've thrown in here, you see some little items in here, those might be fossils, because life is happening while these layers are getting created also. And sometimes we can tell more about the story by seeing what fossils are in there, and we're going to talk about that later on as well. So there's a quick summary of our relative age dating. Relative means we can't tell exactly when these things happened, but we can tell you the order in which it happened. I don't know exactly, whether this happened 100 million years ago or 500 million years ago, but I know it happened after this one. That's called relative age dating.